Hey everyone, Chef Jean-Paul Bourgeois here, and today I'm making crab meat and andouille stuffed mushrooms. Now, when it comes to flavoring this iconic Louisiana dish, I'm only grabbing Slappy Mama. My favorite is the white pepper blend. It just adds the perfect layer of spice and salt and extra seasoning to this dish. Let's get cooking. Let's go over some of the ingredients here. First and foremost, I have mushrooms and crab meat. I also have some chopped andouille. This is gonna kind of make it a little different than some of the crab meat, some of the seafood stuffed mushrooms you may have had in the past. And then we have things like panko and Parmesan cheese and chili flake and shallot, garlic, and then also some of these mushroom stems which we'll utilize in the actual stuffing as well. We got cream cheese, we got lemon, we have egg. It's a really simple recipe, but make sure you're using really great crab meat and good sausage for this recipe because that's really the stars of the show. And we want to make sure that sings through in a big way when we get those onto our plate. First things first, let's get a skillet hot. I have a cast iron skillet here where I'm going to be cooking the portion of the stuffing that needs to be cooked, like the andouille sausage and the shallot and the garlic and so on. I also have a little sherry right here to deglaze that pan to kind of just bring a little extra depth to that stuffing. I've made this recipe before in different iterations. It always comes out good. I mean, how bad could it be when you got crab meat, andouille, and cheese, and sherry, and mushrooms, you stuff it all together, you're broiling it. Man, I cannot wait to dive into this. Our pan is getting hot. I'm gonna add just like a little bit of like surface oil, just enough to kind of glaze that pan over. I'm gonna start with my andouille sausage here. And like a lot of recipes you see from me, this andouille sausage is gonna go in and we're going to just slowly start to brown that sausage in the pan, rendering it, but also getting some color out of it as well. It's okay that it's not sizzling right off the bat right now. In fact, I don't want a hard sear, really, a hard roast. I want it to kind of gently and slowly render and brown to keep that andouille tender, but still developing a lot of flavor. So let's take an opportunity to just talk a little bit about crab meat. Today I'm using lump crab meat, which is typically thought of as the best kind of crab meat, or at least the most expensive kind of crab meat. It's got these big chunks, these big lumps of crab, and they're typically, you know, you can kind of see here how it's not really broken apart too much. I've already picked through this crab, so it did break up a little bit, but you can see the kind of large chunks of crab meat that is in here, and that's why you get a premium price for them. I'm using them for this recipe, but you don't need to use lump for this recipe. You can use claw meat or other like back fin, which can be a little bit cheaper, but it's going to be maybe a little more stringy and less lump. This is really good crab meat for just tossing in butter, putting on top of steaks, putting on top of fish, really just warming it through. But I like to also fold it into this recipe as well. Not to say you can't mix claw meat and lump to, you know, make it a little less expensive to make. Now that this skillet is hot and my andouille is going, I'm gonna clear some of this off here. Now I have these mushroom stems right here. Now it would be shame to throw those away and just let them go in the garbage. So I'm gonna process them here. And all I wanna do, I'm gonna just take a few out this bowl. Get that to the side. I won't put all of these stems in there. And I'm just gonna pick out the ones that look good. And if they have any dark spots, I'll just trim them off, like so. If they have any soil, you can just trim that off and clean them off. Just any little bruise spots you can just remove, no big deal. Trying to keep some of the nicer pieces. Just turn that andouille down a little bit. Again, we don't want that to fry so hard in the skillet, but we want to render and brown. Throw that trim in the garbage, and then I'll just take these stems here and I'll just give them a rough chop. And they're gonna go right into this pan as well. They need a little time to cook. And with that andouille is a good place for them to cook because they have some residual fat. They have that andouille fat that's been rendering out. They're gonna roast nice in there, but we just want to Make sure it's small enough to where you don't get huge chunks of mushroom into your filling, that it just folds into the filling rather than being a major component, and just adds an extra little mushroom oomph to that filling. You're already going to get it out the cap, but the stems are very flavorful, but you want to make sure that, again, you're taking out any fibrous sections of that they don't become tough, and that you're giving them a nice chop so it folds right into that stuffing really nicely. That looks pretty good right there. Into the pan, just like so. I'm going to add a little pinch of salt right here, just to kind of give those mushrooms a reason to sweat out. I'm going to stir that in. We're going to continue to cook this just for another few minutes to soften those mushrooms in this pan with that andouille fat. If it looks a little dry, go ahead and you can maybe add just a little touch of oil. Another tablespoon if that. And now it looks like my pan has got, it's glistening. It's not sticking all together. We're actually cooking some of those mushrooms down. Next up, we have our shallots and garlic. I may throw some thyme in there as well. I like a little herb in my mushrooms and seafood. I think it goes pretty well. So we got shallot, garlic. Also have some chili flake if you want to add just like a raw back of the tongue kind of heat. Just a little chili flake bloomed in fat, and a bad deal either. I got some Slap Your Mama white pepper blend. Y'all have heard me talk about the white pepper blend. It's one of my favorites. Again, using in seafood in this crab meat recipe. It's really perfect actually. So it's one of those blends that I always have, not literally in my back pocket, but always available to use, because I just feel like it goes so well with so much. And just the white pepper just is a nice balance with kind of the natural crustacean funk, if you will, that crab can sometimes have. And I mean funk in the best possible way, by the way. Okay, this is looking pretty good. It's been a couple minutes here. I can tell those mushrooms have really softened, and plus we have more cooking to go, so there's no need to feel like I have to cook them all the way right now. We'll add the shallots in here. Garlic. Just a little touch of chili flake just in that fat to kind of start blooming in the fat. This isn't a huge, we're going to get most of our seasoning, most of our heat from the Slap Your Mama. This is just another little kind of layer of heat to add into this dish. Give that shallot and garlic a nice stir in. And again, we're going to take a couple minutes, 2, 3, maybe 5 minutes to cook this down to make sure we're not putting raw shallot and raw garlic in our stuff. And we want to sweat that down. We want to start to get some translucentness, some tenderness out of that shallot. We want those sugars and the garlic to complexualize, I can never say that word, become more complex by, kind of caramelizing in that fat, cooking in that fat. It's looking good. While I have a little time here, I'm going to take this cream cheese and add this egg to it. Now, this is just part of the recipe, so I'm going to have basically I'm going to, using the cream cheese and the egg as a binder for the crab meat and the rest of these things. And so I need a little egg just to add some added fat and moisture to this mixture, and it's going to really help kind of bind all that together. Egg goes in, and you can use, a wooden spoon right here. You try to get softened cream cheese like I have here. It's just going to make your life just a little bit easier. Just kind of pressing that cream cheese down, getting it mixed into that egg nicely. I can hear my skillet. Remember what I said about smell, taste, sight, right? All those things are really good to utilize. Those senses are great to utilize when you're cooking. But also listen to what your pan's telling you right now. I can hear the moisture basically kind of dissipated from that pan, that fat starting to sizzle back into that pan, and it tells me that I need to add some sort of moisture, or I'm going to continue to fry that stuff. And like I said, we don't really want to do that. What I will do is use sherry here, and I'm just going to kind of wet that pan. Not a whole bunch of sherry. It's just enough to Again, get some background. So that's all I want to do. I want to take my fire off. I just added the sherry and I deglazed my pan, and I just want to cook it till it is mostly all gone. There's still some moisture down in there. And what I'm going to do here now is take this pan. I want to empty the contents out into just a bowl for it to kind of like start to cool down a little bit. All right, we're going to continue to mix this little guy pretty good. Now from here, I'm going to take my lemon here. We're going to add lemon juice as well, but I want to add a little lemon zest to this. Zest of 1 lemon. Being careful only to take the zest off and not go past the zest into the pith. The zest, floral, flavorful, lemony. The pith, bitter, not very tasty. So let's leave the pith there. Let's take the zest off. It goes right into the container. Also, I'm going to add Parmesan cheese to this. Now you have, in the recipe, you have double the amount of Parmesan cheese. This is half of what the recipe calls for. The other half is going to be for adding on top of our mushrooms once we get them all stuffed. Also, some breadcrumb. All right. And we're going to give this a nice little mix again. All right. I do like some herbs, some greenery in my stuffed mushrooms, so I'm going to take a little bit of green onion and just use some of that as well. All right. That's 2 whole green onions, just sliced from greens to white. You've heard me say it before. I like the whole thing. I like the sweetness of the whites of the green onion. All right, now from here, that's cool. It's gonna go into my egg mixture, egg and cream cheese mixture. From here, I can add a little Slappy Mama white pepper blend. I want to get that mixed up. I didn't add any thyme. I was thinking about it as I was cooking, and it could have went into this mixture right here while it was cooking. If you want to add some thyme, that's a good place to add it. I didn't, because I was like, you know what, the andouille, the crab, it's got a lot of flavors going on already. There's no need for me to kind of keep adding to that. There's a lot going on. I'd rather just let the andouille and the crab kind of sing together. All right, so I have that mixture. Now I have 3 bowls that need to be all mixed together. You have your shallot and your andouille mix, you have your crab, and then you have the egg and cream cheese mixture. Now, what I'm gonna do, just to kind of help that andouille cool down a little bit, is I'm gonna add my cold crab meat. Now you can see I've already had these kind of cremini mushrooms, baby portobellas, creminis. You can use any mushroom you want. I like these because, you know, if I'm serving this at the dinner table, it's an easy shareable thing I can put on a platter, not like a portobello where it can get a little larger. Then the white button mushrooms are a little too small, but if you can find the right size white button mushrooms, or even creminis, that could be like a good like past app or hors d'oeuvre. If you're doing a dinner party, then sure, go ahead and use that. But like these are kind of meant for, I can take 1 bite, 2 bites, 3 bites, you know, on a dinner plate. They're big, they're robust, they kind of have enough substance to be on the dinner table during a main meal. So now I have this bowl. I'm going to add that crab meat andouille stuffing into there. Now, look, I buy lump crab meat. I like lump crab meat. I'm trying not to pulverize. I'm trying not to break it up too much. It's a little hard with this type of recipe because there's a lot of things getting mixed in and mixed out, but just do your best. And that's why I'm trying to like not really aggressively stir, but more fold the crab and the andouille into these things. Now remember, I still have some lemon juice here, and what I think I'm gonna do now is just add that lemon juice, and that's gonna help just give a little bit more moisture to this stuffing. And really right now, I want to at least kind of taste a piece of crab or something. I know there's some raw egg in there, but I need to know how well this is seasoned. Now I know I have a little bit of salt from the mushrooms. I have the andouille. I've already put the I've already put the Slappy Mama in there to really give it a seasoning. So, but I'm gonna just try a little piece. Try to understand where that seasoning lies. I feel like it needs a little bit more. That's Slappy Mama white pepper blend. And just a little touch of heat. A little touch of Cajun pepper sauce. Just enough to kind of give it a little bit of moisture. And I feel like that's a good place to be to start stuffing these mushrooms. Now, we have cleaned mushroom caps. We have our stuffing made. I have my toppings, if you will. I'm gonna just take that, remember that Parmesan cheese and breadcrumb we talked about that was split half and half? This is where it comes back into play. Put that into the bowl. Also like to give this a little seasoning with some little Slappy Mama. It's gonna just help the color. When I put it on top, this is gonna eventually be the topping on these stuffed mushrooms. Just give those a mix around. Now, I'm gonna add a little bit of oil to the bottom of this tray, just a touch, right? And now, I'm gonna use this scoop to fill these just to make it a little easier. Now, as you can see, it fits pretty good and it's gonna cap it off. So really, I'm thinking I'm gonna need 2 scoops for like ones like this. I'm gonna go in there, which kind of flattens it out. Then I'll do another one to go right on top. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But first, what I didn't do is what I like to do for this recipe, but I didn't do just now. Let's put the mushrooms on the bottom of the tray, like so. And I have a little melted butter here. And I'm just gonna add a little melted butter inside the cavity. Okay, we're not quite done here yet. No, sir. No, sir. We're gonna take this topping here of this Parmesan and breadcrumb and a little seasoning, and I'm just gonna top each one with a little pinch. Now remember, this cheese and breadcrumb is already in the recipe, so we're just kind of adding to it. We're gonna get some texture out the top, out of those breadcrumbs toasting on top. We're gonna get some like that brown, gooey, roasted cheese kind of flavors on top. So it's gonna be a little different than what's actually in the stuffing. The stuffing will obviously get heated through, but this topping right here is gonna add a lot of contrast and color. And lastly, if you have some more butter, you can go ahead and use that here. If you have olive oil, you can use that here too. But what I'm gonna do is just give each one just a little drizzle, and then another just a little shower of slaps. That's it. I'm not going crazy with it. Now it goes into the oven. I have the oven preset to 375. Thank you. It's on convection. I like convection almost always because I like the fan rotating that air around, especially when I have like things like biscuits or mushrooms where I'm cooking on this tray, and that air needs to come in and out and in between those mushrooms to really get a good roast on them. So the oven is set at 375. We got about 20 minutes in the oven. So let's get them in and get these mushrooms cooking. All right, so our mushrooms have been cooking for about 25 minutes in the oven. They smell good, they look good. Time to pull them out. All right. As you can see, they're nice and golden brown on top. If I just kind of touch those mushrooms, they're tender. That means they're ready to go. If you want to even take a thermometer or a cake tester, you can kind of go inside that filling. Oh yeah, nice and hot, and just put it up against your lip. You can tell how hot that is on the inside. So let's see. Let's get one of these off to try. This is gonna be hot. I'm not gonna be able to try this right away. Actually, I'm gonna do one thing here. While they're still on the pan, I'm just gonna give them a fresh squeeze of lemon. All right, those come out. I mean, those look great. I love how tall they are, how substantial they are. You know, whether that's gonna be at your dinner table, kind of a pass thing, it's gonna be a nice bite, I'm sure. Let's just see if we can cut in like that. Oh yeah, and you can see that stuffing all the way down to the bottom of the mushroom. The mushroom is cooked fully. All right, let's give it a shot. it's gonna be hot. I'm gonna blow on this a little bit. All right. Perfectly in balance with that andouille playing off of that crab meat. The salty spiciness of that andouille meeting with that slappy mama, the big fresh squeeze of lemon, and the contrast of the Parmesan and the breadcrumb on top. That is a stunner bite. Your guests are gonna be sure to love it. My name's Chef Jean-Paul, and I am out.